A move that happened.
So I love my division, man.
A move that happened is Dez Bryant signed with the Ravens officially. He was on a practice squad, but now they officially signed him. I think he started practicing with them already. I saw pictures of it today.
He's been practicing with Lamar all summer.
So how much of a difference do you think Dez Bryant is going to make for the Ravens?
I think it just depends on how is he going to come back. You know, he hasn't played football in, damn near 2 years?
If you're – give me your opinion. Do you think that he's going to come back at least like his old self? Or can he come back and be a number 2 wide receiver? That's a better question.
Okay.
Because number 1 is a little bit of a stretch at this point in his career.
Ooh, you look at his numbers. And the last time he played in 2017 with the Cowboys, he put up 6 touchdowns, 838 yards on 69 receptions. That's really good production from a wide receiver. And at 31 years old, not having played in the league for 3 years, I just don't know if he can get back to that. It's a really tough league. And it changes a lot.
You got to remember the type of receiver he is too. The guy to go get it, the big time play receiver. So
it's taxing on your body. It's
been
a good
gamble.
Of the league for a while.
I think it's a good gamble.
Yeah, it was a great move for the Ravens because realistically, there's no harm done if he doesn't pan out, and if he does, you have yourself a receiver in a receiving core where really nobody's stood out so far this year. I think it was a low risk, high reward move for them. But I just don't know if he could pan out. I would rather take a chance on Antonio Brown than him.
I'm going to bet my house. I'm going to put the money on it, and I'm going to say he's going to thrive.
I think this move just smells desperation out of the Ravens. They know they don't have a receiver. They know they can't trade for anybody. Well, they probably can, but they haven't. And that's the weakest position on their roster. When you look at their secondary, their linebackers, their defensive line, offensive line, tight ends, running backs, quarterback. Wide receiver is the only position that they desperately need. Hollywood Brown hasn't been that guy worthy of how high they picked him. And this move was a desperation move. Dez Bryant hasn't had a 1,000-yard receiving season since 2014. And in 2010, when he was coming out of the draft, he ran a 4.52 40-yard dash. So he isn't a burner. He isn't really fast. So it's 10 years later now. He hasn't played in 3 years. He tore his Achilles, I think, in New Orleans
with the Saints
before he got to play. After a torn Achilles, after having these injuries, not being a number 1 since 2014, and when you said 2017 he had 800 yards, that was a really up and down season. I remember that season.
With Tony Romo?
Nah, that was with Dak.
Oh, that was Dak.
That was Dak's rookie year, I believe. That season, there was a lot of conflict between him and Dak because Dez kind of thought he was better than he was.
Was that the catch that year?
I'm not sure, but I know that. Wait, what catch are you talking about?
Against Green Bay?
Nah, that wasn't it. That was with Romo.
Okay.
But Dez hasn't been. He hasn't been a number 1 since 2014. You can say he was barely a number 2 in 2017. And he's coming off of injuries in 2020. The game has completely changed. He can't burn anybody. I would not bet on Dez Bryant.
Yeah, and he was never a burner. And you look at this Ravens offense that is so run and gun, and
they have burners.
Yeah, predicated on fast moving and getting up and down the field. And Dez Bryant is not that.
Yeah, Willie Snead, Hollywood Brown, Devin Duvernay. They have guys that are really fast.
And I just don't see where Dez fits in that system. Like you said, though, it's not a bad gamble because if he doesn't work out, there's no harm done to you. But I like you said, I wouldn't bet on it. And another thing that you mentioned is even in Dallas towards the end, there was a lot of conflict because I think that he had a little bit of an inflated ego based on his first couple of years. And he didn't really keep up that production, but he still wanted to be treated like that number 1 guy. And I wonder if that's not going to happen here. If he starts to play well, is it going to be a situation like we talked about last week, Odell in Cleveland, where Lamar Jackson is going to feel like he has to force feed the ball to Dez Bryant? Maybe not, but it's another thing to look out for in a lot of the negatives that stack up on the paper.
In my opinion, it's just they just got Dez maybe for jump ball situations in the goal line, some goal line fades. But I don't really see Dez Bryant really making much of an impact. If he does, then I mean, I hope he does, and he proves me wrong. But
Yeah.
I just don't see it because it's been so long. Maybe he has an Alden Smith type comeback
I doubt
where
it.
he's just he hasn't played in X amount of years and he's just good off the bat. But Alden Smith got out of the league because of off the field problems. Dez, it was a combination of ego, but also he got injured and never really got to get another opportunity.
I was excited for him in New Orleans when he got that contract, and I thought he would have fit really well with the Saints that year in a nice receiving core.
Then he tore his Achilles.
And that I feel like that was kind of his last chance to really make something happen.